I hear it all the time, and it's really funny because most people look just like their dads. So.
I don't look just like my dad.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for you.
Is that a WCW fanny pack?
Yes, that is a original vintage
Wow.
WCW fanny pack. I found it in my basement, so
Wow.
I'd imagine it belonged to my father at some point. It was brand new though. It had never been used. It's just now getting faded because I wear it all the time.
So do you wear this to every wrestling show you go to?
Yeah, it's just part of the culture. You're always on the airplanes. You're always flying around. You got to keep your chapstick in here. You got to keep I would keep my retainer in there and stuff. And
all right.
Headphones, you name it.
Well,
if you can think of it, it's going to be in my fanny pack.
Well, I want to say happy WrestleVersary to you. If that is not a word, it is now.
Yeah, we just coined it.
Yeah, we're coming up on your 1-year anniversary of being in the ring.
Yeah, December 31st. That's the day I had my first match as Brian Pillman Jr. And I'm going to be quite honest, it was a pretty good match. I was just fresh out of Lance Storm's school, so if his school is as great as everyone claims it is, then I must have had a pretty good match.
Yeah, that's not a bad guy to be training with.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I learned a ton from him, a lot about the history of the business as well, because as we all know, that's an equally important part of our business. So.
If you're living in Ohio, how do you go to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to be with Lance Storm?
I actually drove, believe it or not, because I wanted to make sure I had my car up there. So it's about a 30-hour drive.
Okay.
But me and my uncle drove up with me. We took the scenic route. We actually went through the Badlands and Yellowstone National Park and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
we took the scenic route. We had some fun on the way out there.
And then you got up there and you had a place to live, or does Lance put you up? How does this work?
Yeah, so Lance has a house that he owns that he rents out to like 4 or 5 guys. That's like, the Lance house, the Storm house. And he also contacts like independent contractors to rent out places. So I was staying with a woman that he had hired to rent out for the guys, for the boys. Yeah.
Wow. How often do people tell you you look just like your dad?
I hear it all the time, and it's really funny because most people look just like their dads. So.
I don't look just like my dad.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for you.
Well,
You have a great jawline, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I imagine your dad has a good jawline as well.
It's not. I don't know. I don't think Dirk Van Vliet has this jawline, but you look like you look just like him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess it comes with the mullet as well. I'm just trying to throw back to the vintage style, but also, as my trainer told me, it's a functional decision. Keeps the hair out of your eyes. So
This is true.
Yeah.
Did you decide like, okay, I'm going to be the mullet guy now?
Yeah, I looked at the landscape of things. I saw a lot of man buns. I saw a lot of beards. And, the beard's cool. I enjoy having that. But, I wasn't going to go the man bun route. I didn't want to be just like everybody else, right? They always say do something different, right? Stick out from the crowd. And, it was a genius decision on my part. It's extremely over. And I'm getting booked all over the world because I have a mullet. And my last name's Pillman. So.
When did you make the decision, yes, I am going to wrestle as Brian Pillman Jr.?
Well, as you know, it took me 20 years to make that decision. The first time I stepped in a wrestling ring, I was 4 years old, right? Coming up in the business, being raised in the business. Vince, God bless him, he allowed the workers of that era to put on the Brian Pillman Memorial shows between 97 and 2001. So a number of quote-unquote indie shows that, guys like Benoit and Jericho and Goldust, Ric Flair and Regal, they're all working these shows in honor to raise money for us kids so that we could, ease ourselves out of that lifestyle that we were living and into more of a middle-class lifestyle.
Oh, so like you would get checks from the WWF at the time?
Yeah, so they would do. It's like it was basically like a fundraiser deal, and Vince would okay it, and my mom would take that money, and Lord knows what she did with it. I don't see any of it, but it's just one of those things where I'm really thankful that they did that for us. Despite what may have happened, I have to thank them for that.
Shouldn't this be a thing where like you turn 18, you got a trust fund, and then all the money's there for you?
It'd be great if it worked out like that, but as we know, like everything else in this business, not everything goes to plan. And honestly, it took me a while to accept that and to really come back to wrestling because I had felt like I was a little bit betrayed by it. My mother told me that it killed my father, wrestling. Oh, it killed your father, the lifestyle, it's too hard. You'll never be able to do it. And I figured, I wasn't in the NFL. I wasn't a pro judo master. So it's like, maybe I can't do wrestling. Maybe I can't And then I learned it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. And once I started doing yoga, started getting in the gym, really putting on some weight, looking great, and then I started to realize I can do this. I can do this. I was looking at the other guys in the business, and I was comparing myself to them, both visually and physically, athletically, and I thought, you know what, I'd be in the upper tier here. So.
What did your family say when you said, yeah, I want to do this? I want to do what my dad did.
Yeah, so as far as who I consider my family, it'd be like my Aunt Linda and my Uncle Mike, and man, they were all for it. Ever since I was in high school, I think people realized I was a bit different. I was cut from a different cloth than the regular kids, and I actually worked a corporate job for a year. I have a degree in business and information systems, so I dealt with car dealership databases on the Western Hemisphere with South America and Canada. And after about a year of that, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I can't clock into work. I'm jumping off the cubicles doing double axe handles to people next to me. And they're like, brother, we're going to have to lay you off. Like, we're going to need you to get out of here. Go be a wrestler. I was like, that's a great idea. So.
You were pretty young when your father passed. What memories do you have of him?
Yeah, very few. If you do your research, I'd say the human memory starts forming around 4 years old. And that's when he passed away. I was 4 years old in 97. I had just turned 4 in September. He passed in October. And you got to factor in he was always on the road too, so it's like the times I did see him were few and far between. I do remember his voice, of course, the very raspy, voice, and also they had to bolt weight, like you had to bolt like a cast to his leg so he wouldn't work on it, like because he would get surgery and then he would go re-injure his ankle over and over because he just didn't give a damn. He's like, I'm gonna go on work on it anyways. So they're like, all right, well, we're gonna have to bolt it like shut, like so you don't move it. I just remember seeing like legit bolts just like screwed into his leg, and I thought, how gruesome was that?
Yeah.
But tough son of a gun.
For as great of a career as he had, he's like infamously remembered for the gun segment.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you watched that?
Yeah, I remember being there. I was in the house, and of course the crew guys, the young boys, whoever, they come up and they're just like, hey, everybody stay upstairs. And we're like, what's going on? Me and my little sister are freaking out. Stone Cold's like circling the building, he's trying to find a way in, and all of a sudden we hear the glass break, and all the rest is history, so, and then seeing it on TV and just that pure emotion, that pure anger of someone invading your home, right? What would you do? Of course you would pull out a gun, right? It's natural, pure, organic stuff.
But it's like, apparently, it seems like they pushed the envelope too far because they had to apologize.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But guess what? That's one of the most remembered things in wrestling history. So when you push the envelope, when you cross the line, guess what? You make history. So
when you look back at your first match versus the matches you're having now, what do you think's the biggest thing you've learned since then?
I've definitely learned to definitely trust my gut more and to really just have fun out there. A lot of times we worry too much about being perfect or what do these people think? Oh, these smart marks online, or they're going to judge the way I do this or how I sell this. But it's like, if you just go out there and be the best version of yourself, don't try to be your favorite pro wrestler. Just be you, and that's what we see a lot in today's wrestling. Is a lot of guys are just trying to copy. I'm going to be the next. I'm going to be the next Tiger Mask, or I'm going to be the next this, that, or the other. But it's like, just be you. Just be the fullest extent of yourself. Train to the absolute limit. Do CrossFit, yoga, whatever it is you got to do to get in shape, and don't look like a bag of milk. And go out there and you just kill it and you have fun. You just have fun.
There are so many independent wrestlers, though, that I don't feel like I've ever seen the inside of a gym.
Yeah.
How does that? And you're a guy who does work out a lot. How are you able to be okay with that?
Well, I'm perfectly fine with them not working out. It makes my job easier. So yeah, it's like if everybody else is snoozing or playing Fortnite while I'm working out, then guess what? It makes my job that much easier to get booked. I look a lot better. I get laid a lot more than they do. So it it all works out. I save the promoters money, if I can stay at some girl's house. So it's great.
Who were the wrestlers that you really looked up to when you were a kid?
I always say Jericho because I've just always really leveled with him. I'm not saying I ever try to be him, but I'm just very similar to him. That larger than life, that rock star persona. Like you don't even have to look at the moves. Forget the lion salt, forget the drop kicks. Like as soon as he walks through the curtain, he's Chris Jericho. So I've always enjoyed that charisma. And then when it comes to intensity, I've always respected Benoit and his intensity. I've never seen a moment in Benoit or Guerrero in their wrestling where it looked fake. It always looked real because they really believed in themselves. They believed who they were and everything they did. And it's like Hurricane Helm said, it's like we used to get gear made to match our character. Now we try to get our gear made based on some comic book character, and then we try to change our character to match that. And it's like, these guys were original, like the Wolverine Benoit was because he was a Wolverine, he was a madman, so.
How much wrestling do you watch now when you're not in the ring yourself?
It's such a blurry influx of information because we have so much wrestling now. We've got Japan, we've got Mexico, and it's all online. It's also easily accessible. So sometimes you put it off, like, I'll watch some of this. You don't want to sit down and watch 3 hours of Raw. You don't want to sit down and watch SmackDown because it's so long. The segments are so drawn out. It's easier to study smaller clips and even GIFs on Twitter. You can find a spot or something and you can save it. You can bookmark it. We're very spoiled with how easily we have access to information. Guys back in the day would mail each other tapes, and it's like, boy, do we have it good now,
I was one of those people mailing tapes, so I get it.
Yeah.
Now you can Google every single match that you've ever had.
Yeah. It's unreal. Yeah, you can go back, watch your own stuff, compare it to somebody else's stuff. So it's like, of course, in 1 year, I'm able to get where I'm at because, I've got a lot of things going for me. We have technology, and there's just a lot of stuff to be doing.
How are you able to pay tribute to your dad or Teddy Hart here? Hello. Hello, yeah.
Hey, Teddy, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you we should have
Hello.
showed up at 1.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Because we got here way too early.
We're going to interview you in a moment.
Yeah.
I got here the right time.
And,
all right.
and just like I was saying, talking about film and stuff, when you're in a faction with this guy, you just learn that much quicker. I watch his stuff. I try to make my style match that Hart style, that dungeon style. We
Poor guy's got a tough job, man. Big shoes to fill and a ton of pressure right off the hop. And obviously, with the passing of his dad, it wasn't like his dad was there for the first 10 years of his life and got to help him. He's basically a stranger to the business who came in and hit a home run with a really good opportunity that he took advantage of every opportunity by being consistent in the gym, good look, good charisma, all the things he could take care of and worry about, he's done a solid job with. Now it's just getting more ring time for him and giving him an audience to really hone his craft at.
All right, so you can watch our interview with Teddy Hart in a moment. We're going to get to you in a second. We'll finish up here with Brian. Thank you. Wow, this is amazing. Wow, all right. A nice cameo there. Yeah.
What
All
are
right, we'll
the
see you
odds,
soon,
yeah?
Teddy. All right. Okay, and then come meet us back here. All right, there we go. That interview will be uploaded next. How do you pay tribute to your dad, but also still be your own man?
Yeah, so the good thing is a lot of the promoters on the indie scene, they have a lot of creative ideas, and I try not to shoot them down. If they have an idea or a story that goes with something maybe my dad did, whether it's the cane that we utilize on MLW, just those subtle symbolisms and those storytellings, the horseman cane, or maybe Shane Douglas shows up at the indie show and they want to shoot an angle with him. So a lot of times my work's cut out for me on that. A lot of people, I try not to force it. I try not to force. I try not to wear the same gear. Maybe some moves I do are similar, but I'm not studying his stuff, trying to do everything he did. But yeah, usually when it comes to like angles and stuff, we pay tribute to him with that. And I think in my first year of wrestling, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm not trying to ride his coattails or anything. I think this is what the people want to see, right? They want to see certain nostalgia pops, if you will, right?
Sure.
So we incorporate that on the indies, and as you see with MLW, they do a good job of incorporating the nostalgia as well.
Is there one particular mantra that Lance Storm has when he's training guys?
Grab a hold. that was a funny one. He'd always tell us. He's like, you know what? There's going to be a lot of times where you're lost in a match and you don't know where to go, where to take it. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with slowing it down and actually wrestling. There's nothing wrong with putting on a submission or putting on a hold and really waiting for the people, waiting to see what they're doing. And like you said, you always got to listen to the people, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? Because the people in the audience, they're going to react in a similar way as the people on TV too. Yeah. So it's like if you hear them cheering, odds are the people at home watching are probably excited as well. So you can really gear your work towards the energy of the crowd, and that's the biggest thing.
I actually went to the same school, the same college as Lance Storm. I'm from Canada.
Okay.
So Lance Storm went to Wilfrid Laurier University well before I did. Do you think that maybe through the process of all this, Lance Storm could be on the show one day?
Yeah, and if you need help getting in contact with him, let me know. I usually stay in touch with him. I try to send him film when I can, and of course he sends his feedback and stuff. And I think he's very impressed with how far I've come. I think when I first started training up there, he didn't know what to expect. You know, I come up there and I had the look and everything, but you know, it's a question of you got to love this business. You really do. You got to be passionate about it. And I wasn't sure at the very beginning. I wasn't sure if I was going to fall in love with it, but I can tell you after a year, it's the best decision I ever made. I don't even know what I did before wrestling. Like, what was my life? I have no idea.
How often are you on the road?
Every weekend usually. You know, sometimes I fly, sometimes I drive. You know, if it's 6 hours and under, I'll drive. But anything beyond that, I usually try to ask for a flight. You know, just so I'm in good energy for the match and everything, and everybody's taken care of. And
you live in Ohio, they can't be like, drive down to Florida and join us.
Yeah, 12-hour drive. Come on now.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati, great location for independent wrestling. All the Midwest, Chicago is only 4 hours away. You know, we got Dayton, Ohio, Rockstar Pros an hour from my house. Yeah. So every Wednesday I get to go up there and get some ring time, and nice. And you know, it's just we just have fun. We shoot a lot of skits and interviews and stuff like this, and I think that's one of my strong suits as well, is the entertainment side of it.
Yeah, you're very well spoken, especially for someone who's only been in the wrestling industry for 1 year.
Especially for someone that went clubbing last night with a bunch of Cubans.
Oh, no. Where'd you guys go?
We went to, well, I can't say that on here.
So. All right. There it is. Sorry. Tonight you're working a match with Tommy Dreamer, Singapore cane match,
yes,
right?
Yes, I have zero experience with the said canes, but from what I've heard, they don't feel very good. So
well, that'll be real nice.
Yeah, and I told him, I was like, hey, I got to earn my stripes, you know? So if I got to bleed, I got to bleed, you know? We do what we got to do. We pay our dues, and that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to earn my respect, because things have come quick. You know, the opportunities have been thrown at me. You know, you got nothing to do but fail forward, right? You know, you might fail because it might be up here, and you might only be this ready. But then guess what? You fail forward, you get closer. All of a sudden, you're succeeding, and things are coming quick. And I think I'm at that point. You know, after a year, it's like, oh, okay, I'm finally doing what I want to do, and it's working. You know, maybe I did what somebody else wanted me to do and it worked, or maybe I did what I wanted to do but it didn't work. But now it's like I'm doing what I want to do and it's working, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, this has been really cool. I look forward to seeing you in the ring.
Pleasure. No,
all
thank
right.
you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It. Again, great jawline. Everyone should watch this channel. Great jawline.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, and I'm not just saying it because he said that I had a nice jawline. Although, thank you, BPJ, for that. Although, does anyone actually call Brian Pillman Jr. BPJ? If they don't, I feel like they should start. I feel like we have started something here. Also, thank you to you for continuing to watch this interview and watching us right now. And you could just tell by listening to him talk that he has a ton of charisma and a ton of passion for this business. I watched his match later on that night as part of MLW. It was a Singapore cane match with Tommy Dreamer, and you can just tell that he has this great ring awareness, this great charisma, and he has it. He has it, the Chris Jericho pen click, it. He has that it factor, that X factor. And you've got to wonder how much of that comes from great training from a legend like Lance Storm, who's incredible in the ring. And yes, I do want to get an interview with at some point. And you've also got to wonder how much of that is just innately inherited from his father. I mean, even though he was only 4 years old when his father passed away, you've got to wonder how much of that was passed on in his genes. All right, so it's no surprise what my next interview is going to be. That was kind of a cool little teaser there. We've got a half-hour interview with Teddy Hart coming up about some really interesting stuff, including his time in jail and how he's a completely changed man now. And he says he wants to wrestle into his 60s, which, I mean, Teddy Hart's amazing. He really is one of the best in the world. So I will have that interview up soon. Thank you for watching. And here's some other interviews. Yeah, right there. You can check them out. You can subscribe right here. If you want an awesome collar and elbow shirt like the one I'm wearing right here, the link is below. We'll see you soon. Woo!